Hi, I'm Dr. Katie Woodley, the Natural Pet Doctor. In this short video clip, we're going to go deep into what pet wellness truly means for your dogs and your cats. If you want the full video course, make sure you check out the link below for our pet wellness course, which is going to go through nutrition, vaccines, and all the different life stages of your dogs and cats and how to optimize their wellness. Please leave a comment in the comments below and make sure you subscribe so that you get access and updates whenever we upload new videos to our YouTube channel. Thank you. All right, nutrition. Why are there so many choices? Why is it so difficult? Okay, so I'm going to start with puppies and kittens. They're growing. There is a lot of imbalances we can create if we start messing around with their food. The calcium phosphorus ratio is very, very important. So are minerals and vitamins and nutrients and essential amino acids and taurine. And there's a lot that goes into it, especially with a growing animal. And so a lot of times if people want to do their own diets or raw or things like that, I recommend feeding a well-balanced diet first for at least the first 6 to 9 months. If you have a large breed dog, wait until they're done growing and then let's transition them. Yes, it's hard because I know that sometimes feeding that kibble goes against everything that you believe in, but it's also not worth creating a disease that we can't fix. So I think there's things that we can do to support the immune system and get them through this phase so that we are kind of balancing out some of that nutritional stuff. And you can also start feeding them whole foods. So start adding in steamed broccoli, steamed carrots. You can add in, some of those real meats, add in a raw chicken wing, things like that, as long as your dog tolerates it. So that's the biggest thing. But work with your veterinarian and make sure that that's the right recommendation because every animal is different. Every animal is an individual and they are not all the same, just like people. So just some scary facts. So in 2013, there was a study of some dry pet foods. They were used for food elimination trials. And they actually found that 80% of these diets were contaminated with unidentified ingredients. It's not very helpful for a food elimination trial. So the other thing is when you're feeding these puppies and kittens, we do see a lot of food sensitivities. And so you don't want to start your puppy or kitten off on a diet that has a rare protein. So like elk or venison or rabbit. You want to stay away from those proteins in case we do have to use them for a food trial later on. Then also 2018, so a study showed major discrepancies of ingredients and labeling of the dry food bags, including novel protein diets. So there's a lot of discrepancies in our pet food industry right now. There's a lot of information out on the web that can be really scary. There's a lot of exposures. Dr. Jean Dodds is a great resource to check out, and she goes through the research. So that is big time important, not just what we feel like, but the research behind all of this and the studies that are actually showing us that this is happening and where our foods are coming from. So she actually wrote a book too, which if you want to just scare the living daylights out of yourself, read it. But it's really informative and it's really important for us not to hide behind that veil of just naivety. Like stop pretending that there's not a problem and let's do something to fix it, right? So there's lots of different food choices out there. We have raw, freeze-dried, dehydrated. We have our kibble, canned, and homemade. And so there's lots of different options that we have from. We want to make sure that we're feeding a well-balanced diet for those puppies and kittens, making sure it's available or good for all life stages, but also from a good brand that we know everything that's supposed to be in that diet is actually in it. So I recommend, and a lot of other people do too, probiotics for at least 6 months of life. There's there's a lot of different probiotics that are out there. Proviable is one that is very accessible, tends to be a little bit more broad spectrum. You'll also see Fortiflora that doesn't have as many bacterial species in it. You can combine that with Proviable. So those are things that you just throw in the food. The most pets tolerate it and they're really good. There's also one, Da Vinci has the mega probiotic that doesn't have any dairy in it. It also has a prebiotic, this ND50, that can help your pets digest their food better. So I really like that. And then when we're picking foods, what are some of the things that we do need to look at? Where are the ingredients coming from? What are they? Meat meals, bone meals, what type of meal? Is there even meat in it? Those kinds of things. Sourcing, so where do the ingredients come from? Processing, how are they processing that food? Is it under high pressure? Is it high temperatures? How are they processing that? What's happening to the nutritional content of it once they're doing that? Manufacturing, any recent recalls. This is super important because you want to make sure that this company is not coming up with recalls over and over and over again. And there's resources to show you what those websites you can register with, and that way you get emails. And that's what I do, because then I know that there's something going on. And so if I have any like pet patients that are on that food, or I have someone ask about that food, I'm up to date on those recent recalls. Super important to know, like one of the recalls that came out in the past year, I think it was Evangers, they had euthanasia fluid in it. So I just have to ask the question, where did that come from? So makes you wonder, and how many animals were affected by that, because that's what we use to help animals pass at the end of their life. So that should not be in the diet. Additives, are the preservatives natural or synthetic? If you're using natural additives, we need to make sure we're using those bags within a month, because they're going to potentially go rancid. So those are all things we don't really think about, but we need to look at. Is rosemary part of that? Is your pet prone to seizures? Maybe stay away from that. It's something that I've had to deal with recently. So there's a lot of things that come into play with nutrition that can help, that can actually adversely affect your pet's health. And is it balanced? How do we define balance, right? That's a huge question. So make sure you're working with your veterinarian. There is a resource that I have too about balancing your own homemade diet.